From the OUTV Broadcast Center in Los Angeles, California, this is Brief News Brief, a brief look at today's trending news topics, proudly combating the thought police since 2016. Here's your host, James Heaney.
I'm James Heaney, and this is your Brief News Briefing. And today's Brief News Brief starts with a little bit of news about the show. We're going to have to take a week break. Our next show is going to be on May 1st, May Day. I'm going to be on tour next week on the East Coast area. I've got some shows in Alabama. I got some shows in Pennsylvania. They're private shows. You won't be able to get in, but there's nothing too private about meeting at a Starbucks and having a high five, so don't be afraid to reach out if you're in those areas. So on to today's news. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee has set a vote for Monday on Mike Pompeo's nomination as President Trump's Secretary of State. Recently, we learned that over Easter weekend, Pompeo made a secret trip to North Korea. Now, over Easter weekend, he was talking to Kim Jong-un about a possible upcoming meeting between himself and the president. But my real question is, did they have time to paint eggs, or did they just get plastic eggs and fill them with candy and change? I don't know. But this trip has complicated the confirmation hearings just a little bit, because Pompeo won let's do a little backstory. Pompeo won the backing of this exact same committee last year to become the CIA director, and that's what he is now. He's the CIA director. But he is now one vote away from passing the committee to become the Secretary of State. Senator Rand Paul is the Republican spoiler who's currently refusing to vote yes under great pressure from his fellow committee members. That means the Republicans need a Democrat to get Pompeo into the Senate confirmation vote with a favorable recommendation. And it's unheard of to go forward without a favorable recommendation. But we are living in unheard of times, aren't we, folks? Yes. Currently, there are concerns about Pompeo's positions on several things, such as gay rights, Muslim Americans, women's reproductive rights, his view on climate change, and his preference for reckless military intervention over diplomacy. Can Pompeo stand up to Donald Trump to combat his own worst instincts? I don't know. The vote's going to take place next week. There is currently no speculation on who would follow Pompeo's nomination should he fail to be confirmed. On Tuesday, a Southwest airliner was safely flying 32,000 feet over suburban Philadelphia when a rare engine explosion caused a passenger's window to burst, partially pulling the woman sitting next to the opening out of the plane. Her fellow passengers struggled to yank her back in the plane, and then the plane began to rapidly depressurize and quickly descended thousands of feet per minute toward the cold, hard earth. The plane was carrying 144 passengers and 5 crew members. It was diverted to Philadelphia International Airport, where it made an emergency landing at 11:20 a.m. Passengers described hearing a loud explosion from the left engine before debris shattered that window. The pilot's voice was calm yet focused as her plane descended. She told air traffic control that she had 149 souls aboard, and she was carrying 21,000 pounds, or about 5 hours, worth of fuel. Any normal person would be sweating bullets right now, but this wasn't a normal person. This pilot was Captain Tammy Jo Schultz, a former fighter pilot with the U.S. Navy. And in the midst of this chaos, Schultz deftly guided her plane down onto the runway, touching down at 190 miles per hour, saving the lives of 148 people that were aboard that plane. We lost one of them, but she averted a far worse catastrophe. When the plane landed, survivors reported that everyone was applauding in tears and thanking their lucky stars that heroine pilot Tammy Jo was behind the controls and capable of saving their lives. Sadly, yes, there was a woman. The woman who was sucked out that airplane window but was brought back in, she died. But 148 people survived that freak catastrophe. Tammy Jo was among the first female fighter pilots that worked for the U.S. Navy. She was a decorated pilot who rose to the rank of lieutenant commander, and she is now a modern-day Amelia Earhart. We salute you, Tammy Jo. Thank you for your service. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell does not support a measure that would make it harder for President Trump to fire special counsel Robert Mueller. But that's not stopping some Republicans from forcing the debate. Tom Tillis from North Carolina said yesterday that he will continue working on a bill to allow Mueller access to a speedy judicial review if Trump tries to force him out of his job with or without Mitch McConnell. Jeff Flake said that the goal isn't to pass a measure with the hopes of forcing Trump to sign the bill. He says the real goal is to signal a red line to the president. Do not cross this red line, Mr. Trump. There are plenty of Republicans who say that they agree with the issue and that it should be taken seriously, but they don't want to do it the way that it's being said. They want to lobby Trump quietly, not through an aggressive public measure like voting on this bill. As always, it comes down to politics. Forcing a vote could also create an impossible choice for Republicans running for re-election against strong Democratic challengers. Now, Trump said, "They've been saying I'm going to get rid of them for the last 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and they're still here." Most say what's motivating the president not to fire Mueller is in the event that he did fire him, it would only drag things out that much longer. But Trump says, "We want to get it over with. We want it done. Put it behind us." Babies on the Senate floor? Ooh, baby! This month, Senator Tammy Duckworth made history by being the first sitting U.S. senator to give birth. GOP senators have raised concerns about a new resolution that allows babies under a year old onto the Senate floor during votes. The measure cleared the chamber by unanimous consent. A number of senators expressed that they are still unsure about the new rule, so they voted for it because, they'd look like big jerks if they were the ones saying, "No babies allowed." But on the side, they're complaining about it. Orrin Hatch, a self-proclaimed baby lover, wondered aloud, what would happen if there were 10 babies on the floor of the Senate? What about 20 babies or 30 babies? Others wondered how many babies it would take to break the gridlock and really get legislation passed to the American people. While some might argue that there are 100 babies on the Senate floor already, why are we making a big deal about just a couple more babies? Today, Cuba's National Assembly officially confirmed 57-year-old Miguel Díaz-Canel as Cuba's new head of state, ending Castro rule after nearly 60 years. Díaz-Canel was the only name on the election ballot and won the vote 603-1. I don't know who that one was. I'm sure there's a great story. Maybe it was Díaz-Canel himself who was like, "I feel too weird if I voted for myself." I don't know what the story is of the one vote, but I'd like to know. After the victory, he entered the assembly hall in a dark suit and a red tie to a standing ovation. Díaz-Canel is the dawn of a new era in the most enduring communist system in the Western Hemisphere. Miguel was sure to say, "There is no room for those who aspire to a capitalist restoration. The end of the Castro era does not mean the end of Cuba's communist system." For some, not having a Fidel or a Raul is the most impossible thing to conceive of. Yet today, Cuba's Raul Castro hands over power to Miguel Díaz-Canel, ending 60 years of Castro control over the country.